It's crazy. I tell people that all the time now. I'm like, you're coming in at the right time.
Yeah, you should have seen it.
You should have seen it in 2023. You would have walked out.
We didn't know if we were getting paid.
Bill, if you're listening to this, Bill, I got some beef with you, doggy. Yeah.
What up, Solar Pros? Welcome to another episode of The Pursuit. I'm your host, Josh Holland. Today's guest is, I'd say, beginning to be a good friend of mine. Our relationship is relatively new.
Yes, sir.
This past year, but man, the respect level I have for this guy right here is, it's definitely up there. Our guest today is Mr. Kevin Wood.
What's up, man?
Appreciate you coming on, brother.
Appreciate it.
Dude, we've already kind of dove in, like, even before this started, of like what to unpack in this episode, but I'm excited, man. There's you don't find too many guys with the experience level that you have, and still doing things at like a pretty, like, an insanely high level at this point in their career. It's just not common. You know, most guys will, find another path, and there's a lot that I want to unpack with you. But, dude, maybe give us just a little brief background. I mean, we're talking, your first year was 05.
Yeah, I'm old. I'm old. I get it.
First year was 05 in door to door, but maybe just give us like a pretty general summary of like kind of where you were and like what led up to, the point into pros.
No, I appreciate you having me on. I appreciate the kind words. First off, respect is I love you. But no, I started in 05. I remember getting a text from my buddy real quick, and back in the day when there wasn't iPhones, and saying, "Hey, you just come out here and try this." I was working in a steel mill.
Okay.
Believe it or not, recently married, and showed me you can. If you sell X amount of accounts, you go make this in a summer, right? That's when summer programs were very big, and decided to jam over to North Carolina. Just jumped into it. And
what part?
I was in Greensboro, North Carolina.
Greensboro, dude.
Greenbow,
okay.
Yeah. So, no, it was fun. That was kind of the start of it. It was intriguing to me. It was fun. I've always knew I could definitely get out and talk to people.
Yeah.
And that kind of started it. And then it was always been loyal to who my higher ups were, and stuck with the same team for about 10 years. And we traveled over to North Star. I'm sure a lot of you guys know who North Star was back in the day. And
that first company was who?
That first company was a new company. They were called Pro Alarm.
Okay.
They were a small company. I think a lot of the guys were from APX or APX, whatever was going on at the time. But ended up being with North Star with the same crew.
Okay.
And then that's where I kind of learned to network, learned to really like kind of hone in on my craft, so to speak, and really took off when it came to sales. Then got into solar in, I don't know what it was, 17, I believe.
Yeah.
It was kind of the next thing. I held off as long as I could. Everybody talked a lot of crap about it, and I was probably one of them. But got into solar, was out in the East Coast with a company called Trinity. Great company, love them to death. And then just moved back to Arizona. Back in the day, my wife wanted to be a little closer here, so we jammed back over here, and somehow I got in contact with Curtis, and the rest is history. That's how I came to the pros. So just shortly after you guys started it.
Wow. Okay. So and for those of you guys who don't know, like Kevin runs the Havoc region in pros, which has the best pull through out of any region, and has been built relatively fast.
Yeah, everything's fast.
Yes, everything at the pros is really fast, but on pace to do. I mean, where do you guys think you'll end this year?
I mean, surprisingly, the numbers really haven't slowed down, which is kind of crazy. I
Yeah.
think it's exciting to see how September, October are still high install months for the pros, right?
Yeah.
As most companies start to taper.
Yeah.
We should finish anywhere between 18 and 1900.
Okay. Which is
Yeah,
insane.
it's great.
Yeah, that's just amazing numbers. And I mean, in your guys' realization rate is where do you think you guys are at?
I've never really looked at it. I'll be honest with you. I don't really get caught up in those weekly calls and jump on the numbers. But I did get a text the other day. I think we're right around that 72-75% line. Some offices are tapering. Our high producing offices, which has helped, are in that 80-81. Then our lowest is at like 68. So overall, pretty proud of them.
Dude. And the reason I want to bring that up is it's very rare in solar.
Yeah.
And I think it has a lot to do with obviously like the leadership you guys have in Havoc and like what you guys have built, but like to see it built that quickly with that level of professionalism, I think that's like where you get high install percentages, like good systems and things, but it's like real true professionals in the solar space, that sense of professionalism to be able to do that so quickly. It does say a lot about, how you lead.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, dude. And knowing that, we talked about at the beginning, like a lot of respect here because, your region and my region are rivals, you know, like it's a worthy rivalry it's been awesome all year, little chatter here and there.
Yeah, for sure.
It's been good, but man, like to see like how long you've been in the space, like what you've built and like what I've seen from you in pros so far, it's just like, man, like it really is pretty cool to see, dude. So I wanted everyone to kind of understand that part as we start to unpack a little bit more about Big K Dog.
No.
But dude, so I guess when you got into solar in 2017, that was at Trinity Northeast. Kind of walk us through like what was your perspective of solar then versus what your perspective of solar is now?
Yeah, that's a good one. When I pretty much just cut off everything I knew about alarms, right, back in 2017. A few of my good friends kind of made the move about 6 months to a year prior to me at Trinity, and I held off as long as I could. So when they finally got me out there, I dove all in. I'll be honest with you. We'll talk about this later, but you kind of know my stance on it. Like the ego just dropped, right? Didn't matter what I did in alarms or however good I was or whatnot. But I came in as a rep. I was like, dude, they told me you could make this much if you go out and sell this compared to an alarm, right? So solar has changed quite a bit, but when I first started, it was just run as hard as I could, right? Go out, make the money. Let's just scrap everything and just learn everything about the industry. And it's changed since then, obviously, drastically.
Oh, yeah.
So you can't really compare the two, but it was an amazing opportunity to kind of go learn something new, but still utilize what I did, selling door to door and whatnot. So I had a really, really good time out there. But ultimately, it's just like you got to focus on what like works, right? And Trinity did a really good job instilling in us, or at least in myself. And if you look at Trinity's numbers, and I'm not trying to go too much on Trinity, but they did a really good job of pull through.
Okay.
Like, that's what mattered, right?
Yeah.
Glass to roof mattered.
Yeah.
It was their motto. Like nothing else mattered.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not saying they talked bad about people that didn't do it, right? But that's really what the biggest flex was for them and that's why they kind of dominate that Northeast kind of sector of the country is they get shit to the roof. That's just what they do.
Yeah.
And so, fast forward kind of to us and, piggyback off what you said is I really want my leaders to focus on that. Like nothing else matters. Incentives don't, they're great and I love them. Right. But, I want my guys to make money.
Yeah.
Like I want them to enjoy, like this is a great industry, but we have to focus on that. That should be the first thing we focus on. And so luckily for me, all my leaders, they're exceptional, but a lot of them have come from Trinity. So they have that mindset, they have that kind of backbone when it comes to that. And that's their only focus. That's what they focus on every day. It's getting in with the branches, getting in with the people they need to get in, learning the systems, learning how solar works, not just selling the job, and then hoping it goes to the roof. Right? They most of my guys on the Northeast, they can tell you everything about how it actually works on the install and how to get it to the roof, which I love.
And that's where I was saying like that true professionalism, like they really are pros at the job, and those are the guys that have high pull through.
For sure.
They take extreme ownership of each project and, how they're setting up the customer. That's interesting. So that all came from Trinity, Phil. a lot of it came from that background in Trinity.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, it's funny when I went to, can't remember when this was, but when I got recruited over the pros by Kurt, I ended up being in Dallas, kind of like there was a kickoff event in Dallas. I want to say it was January of 2022 maybe, or I'm not sure when it was. It was the first time I ever heard Brett Bucci speak. Okay. And I knew it was relatively like brand new, but he said something that it still kind of stuck with me and it resonated, where he's like, we have to teach our reps how to do it not only the right way, but like every little detail about how the install is done, right? Like sell solar, it's so like plain to say the correct way, right?
Yeah.
Because you can go down many roads with that. But I want my reps to like actively, like not just sell paper, right? I want them to sell solar. I want them to know what they're doing. I want them to know how every little detail works. And that's hard to do, right? Because we're in this, it's like sell it, get it to the roof, hope we get paid, this and that.
Totally.
So that's what I tried to do.
Interesting. Dude, yeah, I mean, coming from a background myself of like being newer to solar I got in like the end of 21. Pull through has always been challenging in ways because like you get like these summer incentivized guys that come out and they're young dudes that just come and they're just slinging paper, as you said. Like it's hard to it's interesting. I would love to pick your brain more on that, like maybe offline, but like how you get somebody to want to be a professional in that space, but that's incredible. I mean, yeah, it really does say a lot the numbers don't lie.
Yeah.
They really don't. And you guys have done a phenomenal job there. Dude, with your transition from Trinity into pros, I guess like, those guys were heavily on pull through, and it seemed like, that professionalism. What did you notice coming to pros? Like what are some of the bigger differences you noticed from a company like Trinity to being at pros?
Well, Trinity was established, right? So when I got there, 70% was the norm. Like if you weren't doing 70%, it wasn't good, right? You got put on PIP, like you had to go, why you didn't do that and stuff like that, right? So
There's accountability.
Yeah, there was accountability, right? And I think we should get to that eventually.
Yeah.
Pros is a different beast though, right? So you have to expect there's going to be a learning curve, especially with how fast we're growing, especially with some of the new people coming in. Like, again, it's different than selling pests. It's different than selling home security or whatever, dish, right? Where there's such an instant, not only gratification, but like it's quick installs, quick this, quick that, 3-day right to rescissions, all that stuff, right? So, but we're going to get there. But pros is, with the culture, with everything that we're doing, is second to none. And I'm not just saying that, like there is no rival to pros on any other level in my eyes, right? But I do think we need to, start focusing on what really matters.
Totally.
That's my opinion on it. So,
dude, I totally agree with that. I think that always comes. I mean, it was tough to say like, hey, was Trinity like that in their second year?
Yeah. And I don't know that.
Yeah, it took time.
I'm sure it was, right. Everybody's new.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people in pros are new, but I bet it's a lot, right? Like,
well, and it's a melting pot. You have so many different standards and procedures and backgrounds all rushing to one platform so quickly that sometimes I'm like surprised we even
it's amazing.
We even do what we do.
It's amazing. It's amazing what Freedom and pros do what they do every day.
Yeah.
It really is. It continues to grow and get bigger and bigger.
Dude, you give that a couple more years and it's like, what's this going to look like?
Yeah.
It's going to be like, we always joke. We always think that we're a 5 out of 10. Or Freedom will say that. Brett Bush will be like, we're a 5 out of 10. Everyone else is a 3 or a 2 out of 10. What is the experience going to be like when Freedom truly is an 8 or a 9 and pros is right there on that level? It's like going to be an absolute machine.
Everybody's going to become irrelevant.
Yeah.
Let's just say that. You either join us or you become irrelevant.
There you go, dude. Well, man, like something I just learned about you kind of speaking before we started this was I'm an observer. That's what I do. I watch how people do things, how they say things, how they interact. And one of the first things I noticed with you was I was like, this guy is a networker. This guy, I felt like Kevin's gift is his ability to connect and network, and then be able to hold on to that relationship, and maybe that turns into something 10 years down the road.
Yeah.
But you had just said that because of the reason I was bringing that up was because of what Havoc is and how quickly it came to be, and all these puzzle, all these pieces coming together. But you had said you weren't actually always like that until you got to pros. I'd love to dive into that a little bit.
I wasn't. I'm glad you brought that up, because I get asked that question a lot, right? Whenever you are growing and I guess you could call it successful, or at least a successful year, is how do you do it? How do you network? How do you recruit, right? And there really isn't anything special. Like, I hate to burst any bubbles. Like, there really isn't. But Solar Pros kind of opened my eye. This was the first platform, and I always say this, where I'm truly at peace with like this company, the people I work with. I really wanted to recruit.
Yeah.
I really wanted to bring outside individuals, at least for the network that I had over the last 15 years or 20 years almost, to this organization because of the people, right? And I think, when I joined the pros, I joined just by myself. I left the company I was working with and came over only with myself. And
That's fun. I mean, dude, we got to
Yeah,
pause right there. So what day is this? You came over and you said it was like,
I haven't been here 2 years yet, so I want to say I could go back and look, but I started talking to Kurt in December of 2022. So this was right when you guys, pros really kind of evolved into a company, I guess.
I think Pros was originally founded in October.
Exactly.
And then you're coming on January.
Yeah, my first day here was January of 23. So
Just you.
just me,
Bro,
just me.
that's insane.
I think I brought over one setter. I could be wrong, but it just blew up from there. It
And
opened my eyes.
what does the network look like today?
Oh man, I don't really look at that stuff, bud. We're probably a few hundred deep now. So if you look at setters and closers and stuff like that. So
Dude, one thing I do love about you is the humility. I think that that's just so inspiring for people. That, I mean, if we just look at it on paper, we're looking at you came over, you were 40, a 40-year-old, been in door to door a long time, has a lot of connections, but it's not like you're bringing over some powerhouse network.
yeah, no, I definitely didn't.
Yeah, I mean, and then you come over, just you and maybe a setter, and then in under 2 years, create a network that'll go and do just shy of 2,000 installs. I mean, dude, that's incredible, dude. Like,
I appreciate that. There was a lot of help though. It wasn't just me.
Totally,
right?
yeah.
Like the whole network. My biggest, like I have to, Brandon Brown. He was probably the biggest. He's one of the biggest reasons why we blew up the way we blew up, right? And we can talk offline about why I feel like you should partner with individuals that really kind of inspire you on different levels, right?
Yeah.
But again, dude, I was just it felt good. It was the first time where it was like, man, let loose. Let's just go recruit. Let's just go build. This is the engine I want to, I want to ride, or the vehicle I want to ride, and yeah, it didn't take long, right? Once you kind of get that snowball effect and you're doing it the right way, it blew up. So, and I credit, a lot of it goes to not only yourself, but other regions, right? You guys did the exact same thing, right? It might've been a little bit different or whatnot, but we all pushed each other. You can't, I think about Relentless. I think about Freedom Fight. I think about all you guys just as much as I'm assuming you guys think about us, right?
Yeah.
So that's healthy, and I love it. I love it. So.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the quality of leadership in your group, and it makes a ton of sense. And I think you brought up a great point. It's like you will never find anyone who does something that big who did it alone.
For sure.
Like, it really is kind of linking arms with so many people, top down to be able to, create something that awesome. Well, dude, I think you have a unique perspective as well as like, you mentioned like dropping the ego.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard you say that a couple times and I can feel like, your conviction in that. Coming from somebody like I've openly said, like, I feel like some of my, I guess, roadblocks or what has stunted my growth has been ego driven in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Especially it's like something that's like, oh man, like you kind of think your shit doesn't stink.
Well,
And
we all go through that.
yeah, and I look at how much that's slowed my growth. And you bring up a unique perspective. Well, not, I shouldn't say unique. I should say a strong stance
Mm-hmm.
on, dude, what you did 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 2 years ago. It doesn't matter. You even had a phrase. What was the phrase you said?
Oh, that yesterday's home runs don't win today's ball games.
I love that.
Yeah,
I
it
love
means
that.
nothing.
Yeah.
No one cares anymore.
Yeah.
I hate to like break it to everybody, but the years are the days of like, and I used to be this guy, right? Be the top rep at North Star, or do this or do that, and you used to walk around and be like, dude, I sold this or that, and like I deserve this,
Yeah.
right? And people used to be in awe of like, dude, you could sell 10 in a week, or 15 in a week, or 20 in a week, right? It means nothing. This generation coming up and stuff, it's quick, right? Like it really doesn't hold any weight anymore. So it's what can you do for them now? Like, and I want to, back to the ego thing is like, I used to have a big ego, right? And I look back at it now, and maybe that's the reason why I didn't want to grow, right? It's because I knew I had this ego and I shouldn't have had it. And it was, I don't know the answer to that. But nowadays it's just like, I try to drop my ego and just help where I can, when I can, so to speak. But I really want to show these next guys coming up, and we talked about this, that this job is hard. Like, let's be transparent. It's very hard, right? You got to learn to manage your emotions with this job, but it is the best job in the world. You're not going to find anything better than this. With the people you work with every day, day in, day out, the connections you have, the network you're going to have for the next 10, 15, 20 years, you will not find this. People pay millions and millions of dollars to try to find networks like this, or to get into coaching and this and that. And,
Oh, yeah.
and I get to talk to you every day, right? I get to talk to Curtis and Josh Slider and all these guys, these individuals, right? And I probably wouldn't be in that situation now, or at least this situation, if I still had the same ego I had 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever that was. So
It's so interesting, like hearing you say that, and like other people that have, maybe had bigger egos like myself, and how it really does damn progression.
Mm-hmm.
It's where it will stop.
It's the number one killer.
Yeah, it's that sense of entitlement,
Mm-hmm.
and it's once when you have it, it's hard to have the self-awareness that why am I not progressing, or why am I not?
Oh, it hit me like a ton of bricks, man.
Really?
I
Tell
just
me about
realized
it.
I wasn't that good, right? It's like you wake up one day and you have all these accolades and trophies on the wall, or plaques, whatever. They used to give you little crystals, right?
Sure,
You know,
yeah.
crystals, right? And going through garages or whatever, you're moving and you see him sitting there and you're like, God, I was a badass one day, right?
Yeah.
Dude, that means nothing. It really, like, nobody cared. No one. I never recruited anybody who sat across from me and was really in awe of like selling X amount of accounts at North Star, or being this or being that, or what I drove, or any of that stuff. They didn't, right? And they just wanted to get to know me. At least that's what I thought now.
Yeah.
It's like, I want to be curious about somebody, not judgmental, right? I don't want them to like, oh, you can't do what I do, so I shouldn't hire you, this and that. So I believe I can connect with anybody now, and I want to find out what I can connect with, right, with that person when I'm recruiting them. And I felt like it allowed me to like more people and want to get along, because I used to always say I don't like many people, right? But that's stupid. So I love everybody. I want to get along with everybody. I want to talk to everybody. So I just try to find a way to connect with someone as quick as I can on something completely different that I might not even like to do it all the time, right? But if I can find something we have, maybe in common with, or something I want to get to know better, or do something, then I feel like we'll have a better relationship. So, but ego, dude, it was the demise. Like it really caused me to leave. I left the industry for a year, right? So when my youngest was born, I got out of it. I was done with it. I hated it. I hated the people in it. You know what I mean? And
You just feeling like resentment because like you weren't getting what you want, or like
Yeah,
tell us about
I
that.
think we all feel that way, right?
Yeah.
So you do this long enough, you feel like you deserve something, right? You didn't earn it, but you deserve it, right?
Right.
Or you harbor these feelings towards people that were your bosses or your leaders or this and that. Like, I can do it better. I should have always had that, right? And so I got out, took a year off, had a baby, enjoyed every minute of that, and then I realized like what hit me and like really like hit me to my soul was I'm not going to be able, like, this is what I was meant to do, like jump into it, like come in as a rep again, start over, right? Use your networks the way you at least pool your networks. I'm talking Solar Pros here.
Yeah. Okay.
Pool your network. And completely change the way you did things the last 15, 20 years, whatever it was, and just start over. Like, it's okay to start over, right? And I was scared. When I got back into the industry at 38, 39, like, that's old. Like, I'm the old dog. I'm probably the oldest one in the office every day, right? So,
I love it, dude.
but I love that, Rob. Like,
Yeah.
like I'm going to make this a career for the next 10, 15 years, and I'm going to love every minute of it now. I'm so at peace with what I'm doing now, and I love it. So
Such a cool story, man. I love that I'm like hearing this like
Yeah.
first time because, man, my brain's going a million miles an hour. I want to know like what, I mean, was it a specific moment where you realized like I'm the problem, or was it like,
I just realized I did a lot of complaining, right? Like, I'm not where I should be. I've done this a long time, and I should be making millions of dollars. I should be set. I should be part of this buyout, or I should be part of that buyout. And this is all alarm talk, right?
yeah,
And I just realized no one gave a shit if I was complaining or not. Like who am I going to complain to? Like,
Yeah.
complain to my wife? She's probably sick of hearing that too now, right? Like, she doesn't care. Like, get your butt up, go work,
Yeah.
make sure we're taken care of. So, I really can't pinpoint, like, I had this like aha moment, but I credit, Curtis, Jordan, Josh, Slider, Justin. Like, when I came in, they allowed me just to be me, right? They didn't push me if I wanted to do it this way or I wanted to do it that way. I always say when I recruit, I don't want you to come in and do it my way, right? Like, Solar Pros and Freedom, what I think is the great like thing for us is we kind of mold ourselves around what you want to do. Obviously, we're going to give you the right path. We're going to like point you in the right direction. We have all these services and whatnot to kind of help you grow. But the platform is so moldable around what somebody else wants to do. I don't want to tell people what to do every day. That's not like I was. Maybe that's why I had a lot of resentment for people. Like, again, I grew up in the days of like, you did it this way or go home and do something. So I credit and I thank the people that brought me in because they really allowed me to kind of be calm the anxiety about, with what we get with this job, and just go do what you want to do. We understand it takes time. I think a lot of people don't really pay attention, don't really think that it's going to take time to grow, right? Even though we did it fast, right?
Yeah.
I get that. But
really that was 18 years.
yeah,
that was compounding interest over 18 years. A couple things move right, you're in the right vehicle, and boom.
Yeah. So I'll always say, like, I credit what I do is easy, right? Josh, Jordan, Curtis, Cam, Chris, all these guys, like, they really set the tone for, like, at least that's how I look at it, right? For people like you and I moving on up and whatnot, is those guys battle for us, man. They battle for us. They take a lot of weight off our shoulders, and it allows us to do what we love to do, or at least for me, right?
Yeah.
And I can't thank them enough for it,
Dude.
So
Such gold. Like, I think that I look back at, I'm like, if my 25-year-old self.
you're still just a young buck, dog.
Hey, I mean, I'm getting
Huh?
up there, dude. Like,
Nah,
I'm 33,
you're good. You're killing
but like my 25, 26, 27-year-old self could take that message and just like, run with it. I think that you cause yourself so much unnecessary turmoil and this inward battle of like, it's like that cliche line that you're just holding so tight onto
Yeah.
this rope. It's just like, dude, just let it go.
You have to let it go.
Just let it go.
I love like what our VPs and whatnot do for us. Like I really find value in that now, right? As prior to, I mean, and I can honestly say this, I probably thought I could do it better.
Yeah.
Right. We all go through that, right? That's why people leave and go start their own companies and this
Yeah,
and that,
it's
right?
always
And
that.
if you actually just sit back and watch them, watch what they do on a daily basis, watch what like the emotions they handle, watch how they handle their lives, right? I had to come to grips that, dude, I wasn't doing a good job in my life, in my work life, my personal life, all that stuff, right? And I think once you kind of like strip it away and just realize like, dude, like you really weren't as good as you thought you were. Let's dive in and like just follow the lead. I think that helped me a lot, right? So, but yeah, I don't say it was simple or it was easy. It was hard. It definitely kicked me in the nuts. So.
Such valuable stuff though, dude. Like, I think what advice and guidance you can offer your people that you're leading is unmatched. That way it's like, you can say like, I literally was that person or whatever. And,
Yeah.
that carries a lot of weight, man. It's never too late. Like that's such a cool story, man. It's just powerful. Like I think some of these guys that have been in door for 3 years.
Yeah.
All they have ever known is solar.
Yeah, good for them.
And yeah, it's like, dude, like I mean, I got on Craigslist, dude, and got
Yeah.
into door to door. That's how I got in.
That's awesome.
And some of these young kids are like, dude, they're 3 years in, they're like, I'm not making $500,000. It's like, dude, like it's gonna take time, and like it's so early,
Yeah.
and you're being mentored and guided by people who have maybe delayed their growth because of things, and now they can give you advice to like, hey, just don't do this.
That's all this is, man.
Yeah, it's like-
I just try to tell people what not to
Exactly.
What I did that was wrong.
Dude, totally.
Like, I'm not going to tell you what to do or what not to do. Like that's you got to blaze your own trail when it comes to that. But I'm very open about my struggles, my past failures, stuff like that. Like there's no reason not to be. These kids coming up, and I say kids lightly, but these young bucks coming up, they can read right through the BS.
Yeah.
Right. But they are a generation of like, hey, I want it now. I want
yeah.
it right this second. And that's a product of how fast it is and easy it is to get all the information out, Instagram and all this stuff, and everybody's flaunting this and flaunting that, right? And I get it, man. Everybody wants that. But if you go hard at this, and I think Bucci said this recently on a podcast where this solar's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Right? This is a career. Let's start treating it like a career. You're going to elevate a lot faster than normal careers, right? Normal 9 to 5s where you get little bonuses and stuff. But we and I was the same way when I was at Trinity. Just go in, go hard, like whatever happens, go make $1 million or whatever that was, right?
Sure.
Nowadays, it's like, man, I want to do this the next 50, even at my age. Like I'm not not sad to say, or like anxious to say, like I'm old. I get it, guys. Like when it comes to door, I'm the old dog, right? But I can do this the next 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
And I want people to enjoy, like, because it is so fun. It
is
really
so
is
fun.
a fun job, but it's hard. I get it.
Yeah.
So
Dude, speaking of hard, I think this is a good segue into. Dude, you have 4 kids.
I do.
You've been door to door for. I mean, what's
We've established this, Josh.
Yeah.
It's a long time.
I'm sorry, I just want to I want people to know.
It's a long time.
It's been a long time, and raising a family, being, I've been married 10 years, 2 kids, and it's like my wife's been in door to door as long as I have, essentially.
It's awesome.
Dude, what is that? I mean, walk us through, I guess, what's that been like as to raise a family in this career?
Man, that's a
Heavy question, probably.
that is a heavy question. I'll be honest with it though. Door to door has been the best thing that ever happened to me. It's also been part of the worst thing that's ever happened to me.
Yeah.
It ruined one of my marriages, or my first marriage. So got married super young. But it's man, it is. I don't want to get too like talk about the past or any of that stuff, but you got to find, you said something that I love is your wife's been in door to door with you for the last 10, 15 years, whatever it's been, right?
Yeah.
And that would be some advice I would give to these young cats coming up, right? Have girlfriends, have this, have that. They need to know what we do, right? They got to be your number one support system, especially if you're trying to go out and grow. You're trying to build teams. You're going to be traveling. You're going to be doing this and doing that. There's a lot of resentment when it comes to spouses, and maybe your wife's at home and you get to go do all these trips and do all this and do all that. Like, that's a natural thing, right?
Oh, yeah.
And we need to be observant of that and realize that. And I think, I probably created a lot of dysfunction in my first marriage because of it, right? Where it's like, dude, I do this, so I get to do this, or, and
I think that was part ego.
100%, right?
Yeah.
And I think it all kind of boils back to that, where it's like, I provide for this, so I get to do this. And so it's hard. It's having a family is the greatest thing in the world. We talked about it a little bit offline, our kids, and seeing them grow up and stuff like that. But when you're home, be home. Okay, this job's not going anywhere. The calls can wait. We all heard it. Like, it is the most true line ever created. Like, when you're home, and just let it go. It's okay, right? Like, the problem's going to be there tomorrow. You'll have plenty of time to fix it. And I think that's helped me in my marriage now. We've been together for about 12 years now, and my wife's just as big a part of my career as I am, right?
Yeah.
She makes everything go, right? So, but when I'm home, and I travel a lot. Obviously you do as well, and most people in this industry do. So, I try to just really, again, just relax. It's okay, but they better be on the same wavelength as you.
Yeah.
Just be honest with them. Like, tell them how this is. Tell them your day's shitty. Tell them your day's good. It's okay. Like, you'd be surprised how they'll actually open up and take care of you if you just open up.
Yeah.
So,
what I mean, when you look at a door-to-door career, and we'll even just take your past 12 years, there's so much of this, irregardless. Even in these past 2 years, like, you could, your network's doing awesome, but there's still tons of this.
yeah.
And you mentioned, like, having your wife on the same page. Like, what were there ever moments maybe where she's against your job, or not seeing the success that you feel like you should be having, and then there's like that dilemma? I feel like I see that a lot with younger guys setting this expectation with their wife that, we're going to make X amount of money.
That's the key right there, the expectations.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I think a lot of people get into I don't want to say habit or mindset, but and I don't want to say they fib or they lie or whatnot, but, I'm going to do this and I'm going to make this, right? Like, I'm going to go out and make $500,000 this year, right? And then they go out and make 150 or 200 grand, and it's like, well,
guilty.
Like, we've all done. I did that for X amount of years, right? And then you're just stuck in it, and you're like, what the hell do I do now, right? So, man, dude, we could talk for hours on this topic. I don't know why you brought in the wives, but yeah, just like, we got to have clear expectations, right? And I think that goes along with the mindset that this is going to be, instead of a year-to-year job where I'm trying to go out and just, you convince your wife, like, I'm going to leave my job, I'm going to go sell summer sales, and I'm going to go make $1 million, right? Then you don't. Like, this is a 10, 15-year career. If you're going to jump into this, I don't want to work with you for a year.
Yeah.
I want to be partners with people for the next 10 years, 15 years. Like, give your wife, everybody, and that goes to your recruits and your leaders and your higher-ups, like, clear expectations. We understand that, right? But everybody's just so afraid, at least from what I've seen, to really, like, tell the truth when it comes to this job.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kicks you in the ass. It's going to be hard. Installs aren't going to go in when they're supposed to go in.
Yeah.
Sometimes pay's wrong. We understand. It hasn't changed in 20 years.
Yeah.
It really hasn't, right? There's always mishaps. So how do you just, like, keep that motion or that emotions, kind of just level and ride it out? It'll be all right.
I think, dude, so much wisdom right there. Like, if you're watching it, just rewind and re-listen to that. That's good. That's just great stuff. I think, looking at a key theme that you keep bringing up there, especially with regards to marriage, or even the success and, like, the ego, and, like, your interactions with people, is you keep referring back to 10-year, 5-year, your, like, career professional, which what we're talking about there is vision.
That's it.
Yeah, it's like, hey, I know where I'm going. It's out there. So now when these little problems are in the way, I'm seeing beyond that, not what's right in front of me. And when you put your partner in the same position to see where, hey, we're doing this together. This is where I want to take it. When these things happen, it makes more sense. I feel like that's what you're saying there is like you're sharing your vision with your spouse. You're sharing your vision with your people.
Yeah, let's just be open about it.
Yeah.
Right. Like I'm not trying to make as much as I can possibly make in the next year and then see what I want to do next year. Right.
Totally.
I really, really like, especially, and again, at 28, 29, 30, I can see people want to do that. Like, do you have plenty of time left? Right. So my situation might be different. But what I can tell people is that if you're going to do summer sales, you're going to do solar, you're going to do, what we call door to door, and this is the career you want to make out of it, then make it a freaking career. Like, stick with the entity, stick with the program, the platform that you have, which I believe is the pros, right? And let's go to battle. Let's go. Like, just cut the bullshit out. Stop thinking there's like grass is greener over here or whatever, and go make it a career. And it will work out. Like, there's plenty of people besides me that have made a decent career out of it, and there's people that are going to have much better careers, right? Because hopefully they learn something.
Yeah.
Right. So that's really all I try to do. It's not like my vision down the road, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. It really, that actually just hit me probably a year ago, right? I think we get caught up in this like year to year to year, like who knows what can happen thing. And even my wife was probably I used to say it so much, she used to repeat it back to me.
Oh my gosh.
That scared me.
Wow.
Right? Like, where are we going to be next year? And that's scary, right?
Yeah.
And so I just cut it all out. I was like, dude, this is where I'm going to be. We're going to ride this ship, and we're going to make something of it. And so far it's working out.
Dude, yeah, that's I love that. I don't know, that type of stuff just gets me so lit up.
Yeah.
Like the courage it takes to commit,
Yeah.
Aligning it with your spouse, aligning it with your people, like those are all recipes for these little ingredients in this recipe for empire building, and that's so cool to see, man. Dude, like to kind of segue into like this last part, I would love to hear, some of the key things that you would, or advice you might give somebody who's wanting to be a regional or like move into that role, or principles or things that and Havoc that you guys are like founded on.
Yeah.
Anything? I know I'm putting you on the spot there.
No. I mean, I'm very simple. So I tend to think I'm kind of old school. I don't get caught up in the new age way of doing things, but I believe at least at Havoc, I try to preach everybody deserves a chance.
Okay.
And
what does that mean exactly?
I just don't like holding people back, right? It's not my job or my position to tell people what they can or can't do, and I really want leaders, or at least people that come to me and if someone comes to me and says, hey, I want to be a DM, or I want to do this, I want to run a team, let's do it, right? Like, I don't believe in the whole you got to hit this and go do this, and then you get to work your way up to this, and obviously I'm not going to put them in as X or whatever, right? You still have to hit some metrics, but I truly just try to treat everybody completely different than what I was treated like my experiences growing up, right, in this industry, where maybe I built resentment towards my leaders and stuff like that, because I felt like I should grow and I should be put in positions that I wasn't put in. So I believe everybody deserves a chance, right? I'm very curious to see if people can do it. I don't want to be able to tell somebody, no, you can't do it. If you can't do it, like that, if it falls on them, not on me, right? I'm going to do everything I can to make sure you guys succeed. But if someone comes to me and they say they want to, they have a team, or they're doing this or doing that, let's roll. Like, I don't want to hold anybody back. I just don't want to tell somebody no when it comes to them trying to get better and build themselves and put them on like a timeline. I don't believe in that.
I think you're hitting on the principle of like believing in your people more and as much as they believe in themselves, but not just saying it,
Yeah.
You know, you're like, okay, like here's your opportunity. Then that is proof that I do believe in you.
I do.
That's a great
And
leadership.
then we as leaders or people in positions I guess we're in, I have to be okay with them taking an X amount of time to get there, right? I think a lot of times we want it right now,
Oh, yeah,
right?
getting
And
patient.
it's kind of crazy because to piggyback off what you said, Solar Pros was wild this year, like wild,
Yeah.
right? And I actually credit you and there might have been one team, I'm not gonna give them too much credit, but from Driven that started off the year crazy hot. Like January was like came out, did 150, 200
Yeah.
counts, something like that, right?
Yeah.
And that was wild to me because it really flipped the switch in my head from like, hey, we're going to condense this, summer sales, right? It's like a 6-month period. You guys came out of the gates just screaming,
Yeah.
right? And everybody got to it like come January. It's like, I guess we're going to work now.
Guess we're
right. And then all of a sudden people are getting left behind. And
Yeah.
so you really kind of put an emphasis on, or at least kind of kicked ourselves in the butt to be like, dude, we got to go find leaders because next year's going to be crazy. Like you sped up the process in my eyes. To where we have to continue to grow. Like this is fast-paced learning. This isn't 2-3 year project to get to a DM, to get to a regional. Like we got to go.
Yeah.
We have to go. And so I'll never forget January when you guys came. I think it was you guys came out of the gate hot, right?
We had a good January.
You guys
yeah.
had a good January,
Yeah.
and it was like that's when all the shit talking happened, and next thing you know, it was like, oh boy, here we go.
Let's go.
So like we're like 2024. So we're coming up on that now, and recruiting season's already happened. I mean, 2025 is already here.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
I'm already like I could care less about 2024. Like we're already
Yeah.
to 2025 because of what you guys kind of paved the way for us. So
Oh,
like
I-
that was. I was so mad at you when you did that. I was like, why is he working right now? We just got back from, like, we haven't even started our banquet yet. He's already dropped 200 accounts this month. So
Yeah.
it's fun, but it's, I said, turn this into a year-long job, a career, right? Like we work every day. It's okay. It's not going to kill you. So
Love that, dude.
yeah.
Anything else you guys, any other, beliefs or, things that you guys preach to your guys that you want to share?
I'm very big on the emotional side of this because of maybe what I've gone through and stuff like that, right? Very hardened towards it. This job's not going to get any easier. We understand that, right? So those clear expectations. But problems, like it's okay if a problem takes a day or 2 days or 3 days to fix. I think if you sit back and you look at your region, and I definitely look at my region, is we all have those groups of people or teams or whatever that it's the end of the world if something happens,
Yeah.
right? And then it gets fixed, and it's like nothing ever happened.
Totally.
And so managing emotions is a very big deal for me, at least for my leaders. And then when I try to get out in the field and go to offices and stuff, it's nothing's ever too high or too low. It's okay, right? It doesn't matter if you sell 5 on a Monday and you sell 0 on a Tuesday, you act the exact same. It's not the end of the world, right? Consistency is the biggest thing I've realized. I want people to go out and sell 5, 7, 10, 15 deals a month. Just be consistent. Calm your emotions and just be consistent in this job. And 2 years from now, you're gonna be blessed beyond your means, right? So I just don't like working with people that get too worked up over everything.
Yeah.
I don't handle that well. I don't know how to handle it well. I'm just like, just go work for somewhere else.
Were you like that?
No, I've never really been like that. And
Really?
I think that might be one of the reasons, if I think about it, why I didn't really recruit, because I just didn't really want to deal with it.
It is a
Right.
lot to take on.
It is a lot, right? We deal with it now.
Yeah.
Right? So that's why I'm blessed to have the partners that I do and the VPs that I do that do take a lot of that kind of off my plate. But it's just not going to change. Nothing's going to be perfect, especially in construction. So why are we getting too worked up about it? Like I can't go to Freedom and fix this or fix that. Like they're working on it. Trust the vehicle that we're riding in.
Yeah.
And it's gotten better since we started.
Totally.
Like it's crazy.
It's
I
gotten
tell
way
people
better.
that all the time now. I'm like, you're coming in at the right time.
Yeah, you should have seen it.
You should have seen in 2023. You would have walked out.
We didn't know if we were getting paid.
Bill, if you're listening to this, Bill, I got some beef with you, doggy. No, I'm joking, but I'm not really joking. So yeah, it's getting better and better, and I can't say it enough, and I'm going to keep saying it. But dude, the people we work with have our freaking backs,
Totally.
and that gives me the peace that I always talk about.
Dude.
So,
Kev, that was money,
I appreciate you,
wisdom, Dude, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate you.
I appreciate you, man. You're a big reason why we're doing what we're doing. So proud of you, and keep doing it.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate you, bud.